25th, yeah. The 25th, I get the other one done.
Okay, we're ready? All right, let's call to order the Design Review Subcommittee meeting for the City of San Clemente. January is the meeting minutes. We're actually March 12th today, and our first item of business, oh, hey, Cameron.
Hello.
First item of business is approval of the minutes, which,
I'll move approval of the amended minutes.
okay, so this is the amended one.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a second?
I don't think Bart was here.
And I abstained.
You abstain?
Second has to be you.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's approved. Let's see, Chair. Old business. We don't usually have old business.
Old business was the concession building.
Yeah.
Where
It came back.
Yeah, it came back, yeah.
Okay,
It's all good.
all right. All right, let's move on to our first item, which, you know what?
It's a watch.
We don't
for
have
Zenith.
the agenda, and for some reason,
Yeah, what is that? No, yeah, here. You can look at this right here. If you want to announce it.
Oh, the agenda?
our first item.
Oh.
Public hearing for project 24485, which is the walk
Yes, walk, yeah.
residence addition. And who's given the,
I'm Zach Ream. I'll be presenting this one. And just a note here, in addition to you all being the Design Review Subcommittee, you're the Cultural Heritage Subcommittee, so this is titled Cultural Heritage Subcommittee Report. And we've got a development permit and a cultural heritage permit application.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
So the existing home is 2156 square feet. There's an existing one-car garage. And the scope of work here came in primarily as a small addition, a bathroom powder room addition of 55 square feet. But the applicant has also, do you have a question?
no, not yet.
The applicant's also proposed some other ancillary property improvements, most of which are part of the historic preservation agreement that was entered into the city a couple years ago in 2022. So I'm going to run through both of those, the improvements that city staff are excited about and that are part of that historic preservation agreement and now have been almost completely incorporated into this project, and then the powder room addition, and there's some window and door changes that I'll show. But I'm basically just showing the staff report again, and then I made a little comparative slide to show the original plans that came in about a year ago versus the plans that incorporate most of the staff suggestion changes. I guess I'll run through. These were the staff suggested changes that staff sent out after our first review of the project, mostly related to design. But then the part number 8 was that we're recommending a condition of approval to basically make all of the improvements, the first 9 in the historic preservation agreement, which there's years in the agreement. It's a 10-year property tax agreement, and there were some things that were supposed to be done in 2022, 23, 24, 25, and 26. So I think now the applicants have agreed to make the improvements that are at least going to get us through year 2025. And I'll show those in some of these pictures coming up. Then I'll jump back into the staff recommended design tweaks. So here's some pictures of the residence. And then this is from the Historic Preservation Agreement. It's an annotated list of changes that the city and the consultant GPA recommended be made over the next 10 years. So one of them was hire a structural engineer to do a structural analysis of the property. That's been done in the last few months. I think there were no major recommendations that came out of that report, but the applicant will keep monitoring the structural stability of the property and the walls. Number 2 was a termite report, and there were some recommendations there that suggested some wood siding be patched up and painted, and the applicant's going to implement that as part of this.
Can I add one thing to that? Or am I interrupting?
Yeah, why don't you wait and just get through them. Thanks.
And then same concept, drainage. The applicants proposed some improved gutters and drainage. This is, I think there were some specific elements in the HPPPA that were to be implemented by 2023, but it's also an ongoing task to monitor and improve drainage. There's also, I think, as part of number 4 or 5, well, 3 and 5, is converting some non-original hardscape back to landscape, which will improve drainage. Item 4 is going to be covered, replace these crawl space covers to prevent damage within the building. Item 6 is a comprehensive landscape plan. That hasn't been accomplished. I'd referenced that in the initial staff comments, but the applicant is proposing to change a good amount of hardscape into landscape on the side areas, which will improve drainage. The comprehensive landscape plan was meant to cover landscape throughout the property, including the front, which is mostly what the public sees along the street, and kind of the interface with the front property and the front historic retaining wall that we'll get to in a second. So that'll probably be an ongoing item. That's still part of the agreement, even if it's not fully implemented by this project. At some point in the 10 years, there still should be significant landscape analysis, if not changes, throughout the rest of the property. Item 6 is this retaining wall along the front. That was a pretty significant reference in the HPPA. There's other retaining walls in the property that are the same treatment and were referenced as one of the historic elements of the property. I think there's some cracking along this wall that the applicant's now proposing to plaster and paint repair. Ultimately, it's up to you all to keep the walls maintained throughout the 10-year life of the agreement, whether some of that is carried out now and some of it is later. In the GPA report, they did recommend that this front wall be addressed by 2024, either through replacement or through repairs. At the time, we thought replacement might be required because there was a large tree here, which had cracked the wall. I think that's been removed. So it'll be up to the applicant to decide whether this front wall can be repaired or whether it has to be replaced. And then these light fixtures are going to be refinished and repaired. These look like interior ones. I'm not sure if there's an exterior light fixture you can speak to later. Mm-hmm. 2 more items. This wood door at the rear of the garage was referenced in this project as an important historic effect that's going to be repaired and replaced. And then finally, within the last couple months, there's been an agreement to repair and replace the tiles in the courtyard, which is kind of in the center of the property, but are again referenced on the HPPA. And then the rest of these items are ongoing stucco, wrought iron maintenance things in the HPPA. So I'll go back to the current project as it came in almost a year ago, which is more related to that bathroom powder room and some window changes. So I'll show a few slides in a sec, but staff's comment for basically all the improvements is that they should be reversible in the future if some property owner decided to go back to the original historic elements and remove the additions and or windows. The Secretary of the Interior Standard 9 says that any improvements should be reversible. So the applicants now agreed to design the powder room and the windows so that they don't break any significant parts of the underlying wall framing so that they could be reversed in the future if needed. And then the second staff comment related to the Secretary of Interior is that they shouldn't use the exact same material treatment and try and mimic 100% the original elements, but that the tiles and the windows should look nice with modern stucco and tiling and wood elements, but they shouldn't be exactly the same as the original windows. So basically these comments just repeat those themes. There were a few different windows that we thought should be designed to look slightly different from the original windows, and they should all be able to be changed out in the future if needed. Just if you'll indulge another minute, I just have a comparative slide, and this may also help the discussion if you'll have questions for the architect. So there's 4 elevations. This was the way it originally came in, and then this is the change. It's kind of hard to see on each one, but here the significant one is this is the bathroom powder addition. It came in with this as the proposal, both this element and this element being new, so it's kind of proposing 3 planes. Staff suggestion was that there should just be 1 new plane here. We were open to having more windows than these 3, but we thought not having this second bump out, just having the 1 bump out here, and then this tiling shouldn't look exactly the same as this tiling.
What's your reason for saying that?
Simplify.
But is that a design standard? In other words, say, I don't think staff's saying things for their opinion. I think they're saying it because of either setback, guideline, code, something like that, right? Is that a reason for that?
Simplifying and not distracting from the original element, because there is an original
Okay.
roof line
So
up
it
here,
is-
and there's a significant window right up here.
Okay.
So we wanted that to still be the focal
Okay.
point, and this to be a
So
little
it's
bit
aesthetic.
less distinct. Yeah.
Also, in the design guidelines, wall breaks are usually to be used for purposes of breaking up longer wall plans,
Yeah.
based upon the principles of Spanish colonial and the early construction. It's based on they wouldn't break up the building for something that small because it'd be more costly.
And then here, what was the difference? This is just showing the rear. This is just showing these windows would be looking slightly different than the original windows. It came in like this, and now it's shown like that.
It's the screen dimming.
I know. I thought.
Yeah, the screen did get really dim.
Yeah.
And then
There's the remote.
Seems like it brightened up again.
Is that better?
You guys painted power brown around here? We got it in a brown.
Almost.
There we go.
when
It's good
you're-
now.
I guess the other change here was this window was proposed as part of this project as new, and the property the analysis when it came in about a year ago said they were trying to match this original window with this new window. Staff's suggestion was to have this window be more like that one on the upper level, less like this historically significant window here. Still wood with some two divisions, but not perfectly the same. And we have here. I guess this is just another view of the bump out. This was the original bump out. The new bump out will actually be a little bit more massive, so the powder room will have a little bit more space to work with if they want. We're calling this a bay window, which is allowed to project a foot or two into the side setback. If it were at grade, it would be an additional encroachment beyond what's already there. But in either case, this is the recommended treatment rather than this one.
How far above grade is that?
I think it's I don't know how, maybe a foot or two above grade. There are some provisions for bay windows in the design guidelines and the code where a
It
bay
kind of
window.
goes like this. So and so at the highest point, like if it goes like this, it's probably like 3 feet off the ground.
Okay.
It's pretty high
Enough
off.
to get the lav plumbing down and out.
Hmm?
The lav's in there, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the sink.
I think this was the last comparative slide. This is just showing the door and the window at the rear of the garage and laundry room. That this new window wouldn't perfectly match other windows. But the door will be restored as an original door. So I think I'll stop there and we can take questions. And if you all want to present using the same slides, you can talk about what you think is significant to the project.
I'm down with that.
Let's
I
see.
live there, so.
Oh.
Oh, should I use it there? Here, I'll use that for sure.
So it's interior, other than the powder room. It's all interior.
And a couple windows.
Mhm.
There's some exterior like drainage and stuff. So yeah, part of it is like so basically creating drainage around an old house, right? Like we want to preserve the footings there and have it drain properly. Right now there's like one drain on one side of the house. And so we're trying to create drainage around the whole perimeter that goes out to the curb cut. Like that was one of the big ticket items that I want to do because I want it to drain. It's not flooding at our house right now, but where the one drain is, it goes down through the garage like an exposed pipe, and then it just drains into this funky thing onto the driveway. It's totally schnickly the way it is. So we're trying to make it right and take it all the way to a curb cut, how it should be. That was one of the big things of doing this project. That's an exterior thing. The side bathroom pop out, that part of the project is there's no shower downstairs. There's only a powder bath in the downstairs it's a tiny guest bedroom right now with a powder inside it. So we're trying to make that have a shower in it. So there's a shower downstairs and make more of a bathroom that makes sense. Where we're proposing to add this bathroom and pop out, there's already a shed that covers like the utility closet that was added at some point along the way. It's not an original feature. It's pretty funky. Like it's not right. So we're adding something and replacing something that shouldn't be there anyway. In a sense, it's already bumped out there. So that is an existing thing that's not original to the house. It has like the new water heater and things in there that we're bumping a bathroom out there in place of. So the bathroom, we get a shower downstairs and we have like a legitimate bathroom downstairs, and it's on the side of the house. It's like literally maybe a 50 square foot addition total. Our thoughts on the design, I don't know how to get exactly to there, but maybe it's down here. How did you go slide to slide, like next?
Oh, that was the other attachment. You have to change back to the other PDF.
Okay, cool. Anyway, so we originally proposed the design kind of in a way that the bathroom was a little smaller and just the sink had that little pop out. I'm fine to do it either way, I really am. I'm not super worried about it either way. We actually get a bigger bathroom out of the new proposal, which wouldn't be so bad, but how do you go back and forth between these?
I just scan
Just
the
the red?
mouse.
Okay,
Yeah, the red
I
up
see.
and down.
I see. We actually get a bigger bathroom out of the new proposal. Here, we thought this is one window here and then one window here made sense because the shower is here and the toilet is here and the sink is now in the middle. Keep in mind this whole thing here is behind the garage. This is the garage. You don't really see this at all. Maybe you see just this little bit, but even this angle looking at this house, when you look at my house from the street, you really just see this only, just this part. You don't really even see this part. This is like a drone. This would be like as if a drone's looking at the house from above, looking down on it. Then you see this, but from street view, you don't really see this from down on the street here. It almost just looks like a single level house at my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go back up to some of these here, these little changes. This right here, this door, we plan to make it enclosed, like so it actually closes. It's kind of just a little shed door. This whole thing's a little shed. The roof in this proposal is getting rebuilt right here because it needs to be rebuilt. That's in this plan here too, to legitimately rebuild this and re-waterproof it because it's currently leaking and it needs to be waterproof. This is the laundry room in here. This is an open void where there's no window. So we're proposing to add a window here so it encloses so that we can make this drywalled and insulated and nice inside where it's watertight. While improving drainage here and on the side here. So that's what this is here. That little window, adding a window. Go here. This was a proposal to add this little window here. That's part of it because there's a bathroom right in here. There's no window, so this is a proposal to add a window. This right here is the addition that we're proposing on the side. See from that to that. Personally, I thought that this looks more in line with the design of the building, but I'm good with it either way. I just think aesthetically, like design-wise, this looks better to me. It's not as massive. This little is just a smaller pop out here. Like I said, I'm okay with it either way, but if you do it this way, it's just a big box added onto the side that just doesn't look scaled properly to me. This scale looks proper to me, but I'm not, that's just my opinion. And this side area is where we're proposing drainage and side drainage down the other side. On this side, not really worried about this window, whether it looks like this or this. I kind of like this better, how you guys suggested, so I think we just stick with the rectangular window. The reason we want a window here, this is where the stairwell is, and it's very dark, and they're very kind of sketchy stairs to get up and down to begin with. They're old 20s stairs. So we want more light, natural light in the stairwell, so it's just easier to see in there in general.
Yeah, I hate to cut you off. I don't think you've done enough here that we need to hear a lot more detail. I mean, I don't think we're gonna have any problems
Okay,
with
yeah.
what you're doing.
Okay, cool. And then this shows the side here, that this is how the city suggested, and that adds a window there because there was less windows on the side. And then this has no window there because there's 3 windows on this side with that design. And the shower would still be here too. So. I'm
Is there
getting
anybody
the
here to
layers.
speak on, from the public, to speak on this project? No?
No.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off again. Are you? Chris, right?
Christian. Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah, this is really the one, this is the addition here that you guys were honing in on more, and I totally respect your thoughts and opinion on it, and I'm good with it either way, but it doesn't make a big difference to me. Either way, we get a shower down here, and we're stoked on that, so.
Yeah, it looked like, as I reviewed this, that you had agreed to pretty much everything staff had recommended.
Yeah,
So-
one thing a couple things, and I don't have the notes from staff right in front of me, but talking about doing this bathroom addition on the side, like to add it on and have it be able to remove in the future, like we still want it waterproofed behind the wall, right? Like it's supposed to be. I just want to clarify that on how the new addition is built, so that it's done structurally proper, and the house is waterproofed, and we don't have old stucco behind new drywall just sitting there that's just kind of like where you're adding on to the old stucco and not properly
Yeah, I mean,
opening
it's a
it.
stick frame house, so
Yeah,
you can remove just about anything, and you're
yeah,
probably going to need an expansion joint there anyway.
yeah,
Although, excuse me, maybe not, because it's not touching grade.
yeah.
It's attached to the existing house, but we understand that has to be.
Okay. Yeah,
I think an expansion joint, even by choice, would be good because that would create a break line there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we
It
have
wouldn't hurt.
there's no
Yeah.
doorway into the bathroom.
I mean, either way, there's going to be plaster and framing repair.
Yeah.
Right here.
To take
Yeah.
it off anyway.
This is a new addition to the side, and will be a new interior door into this bathroom. So it has to be opened and added on here, right? I mean, there's no other way to properly add a little bathroom here because there is
Yeah,
not
you'd have
one
to
here
fill
now.
that opening in the wall in the future.
Yeah, you would have to fill the doorway that was created to get into the bathroom, which wouldn't be too hard to do. But I'm talking about like the plaster outside the doorway on this side on the exterior. I think it has to be like open and removed and attached properly. And in the future, if you ever took the bathroom off, then you can re-waterproof it and plaster it.
Drywall needs pulled off after replastered.
Yeah,
It's the framing that
The
we
framing.
want to avoid
Yes.
removal of.
yeah, the least amount of framing removal, but you have to create a doorway though. So there's a header.
Yeah, we get it. Really,
but
the
you have to
joint
keep
that
it
needs
minimal.
to be
There's
waterproofed.
minimal. Yeah,
We're not getting into construction materials and methods here, but
yeah. Okay.
it's the exterior joint
Yeah, I
that
see.
needs to be properly waterproofed.
And this could easily be reversed back to if someone didn't like this bathroom addition in the future and they just wanted to take it off. It could easily be reversed. It's a pretty small thing, you know.
I don't think we're going to
Yeah.
have any issues with that.
So
I mean,
yeah,
it does encroach in the site setback, yes?
Well,
So does the
this
garage.
overhanging
Garage.
part would, yeah.
the garage here is 0 lot line already, and then there's a huge setback. Like if you wanted to, you in theory, if you made a garage door here, you could drive a car through here and get down the side, which I would
Even
never
with
want
your
to.
addition?
Not with the addition, no. But that's not my plan ever anyway. We'll never do that. But I'm just saying it's a wide area here right now on this side.
It's like 9 or 10 feet.
It's like 10 feet
Yeah,
or
it's right
so
on the
maybe,
lot
or
line.
8 feet or something.
So
it's
it's right
like
behind
wide.
the garage.
Right now it's
Yeah.
10 feet from
It's 10, yeah.
property to
Okay.
open.
It's wide. But yeah, so there's that. So I don't know. You guys can give your comments on this little nuance here.
Okay.
I like it both ways. I just see it. I see good and bad in both. But I mean, not bad, but I see benefits to both. I guess I should say.
Yeah, I would say staff don't feel that strongly about that item. If you want to weigh in, that is a pretty good item for architects to weigh in on.
Looks like a temple on that side.
Yeah, we'll get that in this discussion. That'll probably be our one item.
I mean, yeah, there's not that much to discuss here. It seems like it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We know that you do good work, and you got a good architect. So it's unless I don't know, do you guys have additional comments?
I just want to know why. So in the I'm zooming out. The context of this agreement and the project list. You're just basically bringing this in because you're just showing it in the context of all the other things that are going to happen.
Well, and staff has strongly encouraged the applicant to add most of those elements to the plans. Some of those
Okay.
elements weren't in the plans when this came in a year ago.
The
Now they are.
HPP.
Yeah.
So you're gonna refile the plan? How does that work?
We think we'll get one more revised set of plans before we go to the zoning administrator that are going to look
But
more
we're
like
gonna amend
version
his plan here?
2. They've now called out on this second, this is only the second comment letter, they've called out bubbles to comply with HPPA item 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Okay.
and 9.
Cause is he behind?
A little bit behind on some of the items that were meant to be done in 23 and 24, and we'll be a little bit ahead on some that were meant to be done in 25 and
Okay.
26.
Okay, but the intention here is just to wrap everything up in this
Yeah.
big project.
Yeah.
Get caught up.
Anything up through 25.
What?
I think there's one at 26 as well.
Yeah, some of the things are nuanced, like the drainage and stuff.
Yeah.
It says come up with a comprehensive plan for drainage. It doesn't. So that's what we've been working on through this. We submitted the plans I
Got
think
it.
last year, like a year ago. So like we're trying to do something to benefit the historic project and execute on it. It just takes time to get it right and how the city wants it to, so that it all is how they want it
Okay.
to be done.
So with this, you'll just get fold everything that's in the past in,
Yeah.
moving forward, implementation of it.
But things like, well, a lot of the things that are on the list I've already done. I
Okay,
already did them.
okay,
So like for example, like the sealing the building for rats and things and little voids, that's been done like the first week I moved in.
Okay.
I fumigated the house before I moved in. I've done a lot of things already in this list.
yeah, because
That-
that, it's just, when I read this and it says recommended completion, I'm like, is it not done? But he's saying it's done,
I basically on these things, some of the HPP items that are in there,
yeah,
I personally said I want to loop it into this project because this project accomplishes what I'm trying to do with that too.
yeah,
Like the structural engineer, we had that done, doing the site drainage and things like that. Like that's all part of this project,
okay,
and putting it in a legitimate plan set to the city and saying I'm doing this 100%.
got it. I just kind of noticed that the date on this is the original submission. I just was realizing that. I thought that attachment 4 was updated, so.
There were two sets of plans. The original was April of 2024,
Okay, that
and then
just threw me
updated
off.
is
Okay,
March
gotcha.
25.
Okay.
And we think there'll be one more before we go to ZA, just to wrap up whatever you all decide
Okay.
and get
Yeah.
it finalized with some more notes saying we're doing this and this.
With things like the termite too, it's like ongoing. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Look at it yearly, have it inspected yearly, like have the termite inspector look at like certain historic features and make sure that like they're not tampered with, and we take every option possible to not remove it
Mhm.
and keep that fascia in place. Like we can fix it rather than remove it.
Yeah,
And that's when we originally did the termite repairs there, they had an item for that to remove this one fascia piece, and right before the guy was about to take it off, I like caught him and was like, dude, no, like we'll fix this and we'll
Yeah.
treat it. However, by any means possible, this piece of wood is not coming off this house. That's my style, and everything I can do to keep things kind of how they are and preserve what's there,
yeah,
rather than tamper with something that shouldn't. Like our old walkways in the back are all funky and weird. I like them like that. I want to keep them like that. Someone like my dad would come in and be like, you should take all these out and redo them. And it's like, no way, you're missing the point of this place. It's right the way that it is now. I like it all funky and cracked, and I'm going to fix the cracks in the tile and stuff in the patio, and just keep things old and funky, but restored.
yeah.
Like not repainting the original painted
think
car,
that's
but
pretty good.
fixing the rust. you
Yeah.
know?
Patina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the patina kind of makes it. If you have this perfectly brand new repainted car, you're nervous about driving it. So I like how it's patina at this house.
Okay,
And your wife, I'm sure, agrees with you on all that.
My wife likes it too. We have a pit bull and a baby, and they're just rough. So it's like
Sounds like a good combination.
it's nice living in an old granny pad, I'll tell you. But this will be the nicest part of the house so far. This little bathroom, but it'll be worth it and nice to have a bathroom downstairs. So or just to
Commissioner
have.
Crandall, did you have any comments?
Well, I wanted to compliment staff on the report. I thought it was very good.
It was a good report.
It's like they
Yes.
worked with you to
They did.
come to a conclusion. As far as that pop out, show them both. the other one, I think, Steve probably picked up on the same thing. The fact, you've got an overhang on the other one. This one looks like tight overhang,
Right here, yeah.
and no, for the roof.
Yeah. There's an overhang.
No, on the, there you've got an overhang.
Yeah.
On the next one, you don't.
True.
And that makes it look a little odder, that you don't have the shadow line at the eave.
Mm.
And if you did like that one, I might even recommend taking the window pop out up to the roof line,
Just
rather
connect
than
them.
having the gap over it.
Yeah, that's why it looks like a pimple.
Yeah,
Right here.
it's just
If you connected the roof,
to that. In other words, just raise it up the
And let
foot.
it all jet out further.
Yeah, just let the roof come out
Yeah.
over the top of that.
Yeah. Right here.
Yeah,
More like
yeah,
this.
more, so it'll look more like that.
It's a good idea.
And then an observation I'll have to ask staff. I really like that patina door they've got that they're going to repair.
Yes.
The blue one.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here that obligates them to repainting it the original color, but maybe consider a matte finish clear
Yeah.
on
Just
it
over
if you wanted to save that patina.
Yeah.
So it, a little more of your character of trying to make it look 100 years old.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we want to do.
It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
you only
no
see that
cost.
from the courtyard.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
it takes time for that to get to that where it is now. It's a cool looking old door that we do plan to save. It's a little like Dutch door. It's kind of like a shed door though. It doesn't seal and stuff. So our plan is to use that door and make it sealable. So it's
So make the door like a
Keep the door-
veneer.
yeah. Make it a real door, but make it seal and restore the door and clear coat it and keep that door in place because it's a neat door, for sure.
I don't think that would be a problem with the H.
Yeah, so
That's
I guess we could say, unless Cameron, you want to chime in here, we could say you could choose if you connect the roof at the top of that second pop out.
Okay.
That's fine. It'll save you a little money in construction, I suppose. But I'm actually fine with it either way. You know, if you
Yeah.
want to, it seems like it'd be nice to have a little more space in your powder room.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight in there, and it's a little odd having a niche with just your sink. You know,
It's definitely
Yeah.
a unique floor plan.
Yeah, I mean, that looks
Yeah.
better.
I'm fine with just going with this if everybody's in agreement because
Yeah.
I think we do the benefits of the bigger bathroom. Plus, it's what the city recommended. Plus, it's what you guys think is the better.
Did you
option.
recommend moving the windows high, like elevate like longer? What were you saying about the windows?
well, you get the counter. I don't know if is it the window extend the sill? Is that the counter?
This is where the toilet is right here, and then the sink is
They'll
here. I
match that
think.
with a mirror over it, probably.
You know, it's not unusual with this SCR to have this sort of random location of
Okay.
punched openings like that.
That's
So
the plan, right?
I think it's
the
think
plan,
it's
so you can see you kind of like
Yeah,
stuck with if you want a mirror above the vanity, you
yeah.
can't like center that window.
And there's a window off the shower just to let
Yeah, the
moisture go out
Yeah.
to the other side. I think it's kind of cool how it is, and the windows are going to be kind of small, but I think it's the right scale for an old Spanish building to have like kind of smaller, not bigger
Yeah, I
windows.
think if you do that one on the bottom, we're good.
This, yeah,
Leave that,
Okay.
leave that window.
I'm good with this too.
Can I weigh in for a second? So I think just generally for discussions going forward, I want to note that how we came to our recommendation. So in the Henry Lenning Design Guidelines, there's a page right here that this is always really stuck with me. That during the Spanish colonial revival period, building was not always constructed with visual impact in mind. More often than not, necessity was a greater concern. Basically, it was all tied to the materials and technology of the time, right? So to go in, like if we could go to the other option, like they would, in all honesty, they wouldn't even have the bay window. They would go all the way down to the ground because that would require less engineering, right? You're stacking adobe bricks to go straight up. However, if you did that here, then you'd have to get a minor setback exception, and this is on the side yard. So context matters. And when staff looks at this design, we recognize it's on the side yard, it's not gonna be visible. So we weren't pushing for it to go all the way to the ground. If this were visible from the street, we would have. We would say it should be
Or
even.
put corbels
Yeah,
underneath.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it would, like, we would be saying it should be even simpler with maybe some additional articulation with, like, deeper openings of the
right.
windows and stuff. But like when you look at some of the mass and proportion principles and the guidelines, it's very clear that articulation, breaking up wall planes, is usually favored when there's a need. It's not just because. So to put it like especially like in the center of that area, to have it come out in the middle, if anything, that is going to be even more complicated than putting it flush with the side of the building. So I just want to explain generally our principles when we come to you, so you know for the future.
And there is a section in the Lenny guidelines that talks about these houses tell a story.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not necessarily just the year it was built, but it's evolved and whatnot. He takes that into account and says, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's evolved some, and so I think it complies, and it's nice to have an applicant that's considerate of one of our treasures.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. I want to.
Yeah.
This is a really cool spot. So, and it's a lifetime spot for us, and we are treating it like that very carefully. This part here, I guess, like what to that point, Chris, to take it all the way to the bottom, is that not an option, or is that like just more complicated, or is it not something that like? I'm just curious what you guys' point of view is.
They're calling it a bay window.
If you
That's the
did
reason.
that, if you did that, then you're
It's just
you're
more
needing to
complicated.
get a different application to go with this to
Yeah.
get an exception, and I don't
Yeah.
know what the
Yeah,
what the
we're
exception would be.
We're not interested in that. Then.
And it only sticks out
Yeah.
how many feet?
Yeah.
22 inches probably, or
Less than
something
Yeah,
like
you can't
that. Just the
you
countertop.
can't see it,
Yeah.
so like that's why we didn't
Okay.
even go. We didn't
Cool.
even talk about it with you.
I'm good with that. I'm just curious because you mentioned.
Yeah, that exception was probably not intended for this kind of an addition.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. No, that's cool. And then my one other thing that you guys brought up was a comprehensive landscape plan, and it's sort of like this property already has like an amazing like landscape. It's already landscaped. So like really the side of the house is the only area that was gonna get changed. Right, this small little area in my HPP agreement is what's called out for the landscaping plan. Not, I don't think like for the whole property.
Who added
like,
that requirement? Did
I
you
just-
guys?
I just don't know that
Or
why
was
you
that,
would have to do a comprehensive landscape.
Something we asked for.
It's in the HPPA that the city council approved in 2022, and it says the site shall have a comprehensive
Did
landscape
it say
plan.
what-
I think you're
did it say
right.
what year? Where's
That
that
was going to
scheduled?
be done by 2024, I think.
I
So
just don't know why it's.
It could be
Yeah.
a documentation of what's there.
Yeah.
well,
Or what you're doing now to
Yeah,
make it
switch
better.
years
Yeah,
and some things.
I
yeah,
think,
we can. Yeah,
I
we
think
can
just
change the years.
yeah. I just mean like this part here though. Like just that's the part where she said there's a lot of concrete and we want a landscape plan to like. So and then the whole
Yeah.
house is already landscaped. So it's like why do I have to make a landscape plan off of everything that's there? I just kind of
Because it's part of your
Yeah.
funding.
Yeah, I can just comment that HGPA's have in more recent years included that condition.
hmm
So to use your other project as an example, even though there may be landscaping there, not all landscaping is equal. So it could be the same amount of plants, like planting area, but the quality of the landscaping may accent parts of your building differently if you were to say take out a certain type of shrub and replace it with another. So it's not reinventing the whole property
Yeah.
necessarily.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only thing I can go by.
Could you try again?
But we don't have that plan, that landscape plan, right? He didn't.
No.
There wasn't a designated landscape plan submitted with this application. There's new landscaping called out in that side area, which is the most important area, and that's
Yeah.
just on the site plan. It'll be an improvement, but it doesn't fully satisfy the HPPA commitment.
I think the HPPA landscape plans go through the city's landscape architect.
Yeah.
Yes, we would take it
Keep
to
it.
them, yeah.
We do look at landscape here, but it's not,
For major projects, absolutely.
yeah.
Bigger
But
projects.
in this case, it sounds like it might be tied to the funding.
It is, and there's a mid review as part of that 10 years. I mean, the city can actually review it every year if we want to, but there'll be a review scheduled of all the property and all 13 of those agreements in the next couple of years. We'll visit the site again, probably with GPA again, and GPA will say, well, it looks like they've addressed this one, it looks like they've addressed this one, but what were you guys going to do about that landscaping? We still haven't seen the final version of that. That's probably going to happen separately in the next year or two. If an applicant is not compliant in one of those site visits, we can send it back to the planning commission or the city council to review their entire agreement.
Okay,
I'm in support of moving it along.
I think so too. It's not gonna go to planning commission anyway, right? It's going to
ZA.
ZA.
We're just doing the cultural heritage part, right?
Before you guys leave, what's the status of that modern home up on the hill there? Are you continuing on with that?
So both neighbors jointly sued both the client as well as the city.
Oh, they did.
So they then went to court. We were all part of it. The joy I got out of it was obviously my integrity was hammered through the process, but it turned out in the process in which the representative's law firm actually sued the city and the client. So ultimately they sued prior to hearing the result, which kind of gave light on the intent behind the lawsuit. So at the end of the day, it was at fault of them that ended up collapsing it ultimately because then the judge was in favor of clients and the development. And then it recently, just 2 weeks ago, passed the period that was allowed for
The appeal
the appeal.
period.
So
it's moving forward.
It seems like it's moving forward. I think the client is just kind of he's not reassessing, but I think he's just tallying up the fees that is incurred through that process. But it looks like it's good to go now.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It's a nice home.
Cool.
Okay, well, that's our recommendation. Hopefully it's helpful to you guys.
It is. Yeah.
Keep up the good
And
work.
enjoy the home.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
We'll get you on the next available ZA hearing, which is in about a month, 3.5 weeks.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Just so we know how that works, that's just the next time that we'll.
You'll present to the zoning administrator in this room.
Yeah.
If you want to make any more changes or clarifications, send me those.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool.
And the ZA will know that we
Yeah,
reviewed it and made these
yeah.
recommendations. Okay, perfect.
That to the point of like why I might be behind on this stuff. It only moves at this pace where we can only go as fast as we can go.
We get that.
We know the system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get it.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
We know you're working
Appreciate
hard
it.
on it. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
good seeing you
Yeah,
again.
good to see you too. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
You too.
I'm gonna go.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Why don't you swing around? We'll be talking straight across the table then.
Sounds good.
You gonna be presenting this one, Chris?
Yeah, it's David's project, but he's not able to be here today. Okay. So this is a request to allow a wireless communication facility on a commercial building at 800 North El Camino Real. And this area is in the architectural overlay for your reference. This is one of the sections of the overlay where you can do mission, Spanish colonial, or Mediterranean, a true type of Spanish design. So have that context when you look at this. Clearly, it is not Spanish. I don't know why. It is.
It predates everything.
It is dimmed again. I don't know what happened, but so the proposal is to have two 8-foot high parapet screen walls that would screen the new antennas and partially screen roof equipment to support the facility. There would be 4 panel antennas at the front and 2 at the rear of the building. And I have some simulations. It's just easier to understand it by looking at that. So you have this element that would never be part of a Spanish building, but this part of the building, they wish to make it taller, this parapet, but the parapet wouldn't extend all the way backwards. So that's one thing I want to show you. Well, just go through these slides and then we can look at the plans if you wish. But you can see it from this perspective. And then here's the other side. So we have several recommendations. It's important to point out what applications are required here. The city planner has the means to determine a wireless communication facility is stealth, and that would eliminate the need for a conditional use permit. In this case, we found that it's not stealth because we don't feel like the design is architecturally integrated into the building, and all the roof equipment would be screened. So
Wait, can you repeat that? It wouldn't be what? You don't feel?
we don't feel like the proposal is architecturally integrated into the building,
Okay.
and that it entirely screens the facility. So with that, a conditional use permit would be required to allow this project. However, our review of this project was focused on giving you any recommendations that potentially could eliminate the conditional use permit. So how could we integrate this project more into the building and screen the facility more so that it would be focused just on a development, like an architectural type of project, right? So that means integrating those screen walls more into the building and okay, I got 2 screens here. So to extend the side screen walls over the building entrance so it's more architecturally integrated. Right now it seems out of place. To screen all the roof mounted equipment, lower the height of the proposed antennas and screen wall to match or get closer to the existing height of the building entrance canopy. And give us more information on how the screen wall will match the existing wall color and material. So if those changes or some other variation of changes that you support, we feel like would achieve architectural integration and screening, then this project would go to the zoning administrator. If we feel like those changes are not made, then it would go to the planning commission. And that concludes my presentation. The applicant is here.
And you're flexible, I assume.
Yeah, I agree with Sam about the integration. I think probably on the last picture is probably better. That
this one or this one?
Yeah, no, the one that you had a little while ago, that one. So because this one, if you look at the proposed side of it, that new screen really ends at the edge of the building. So we can definitely take that screen and push it back some more into that first column that you see there, and then bring it back. I don't think that's an issue because really there is really, as I recall, there isn't really anything there that will prevent from doing that. So that's good. As far as the height though, right now the proposed antennas are 6-footers, and in order to have a non-bending fiber optic cable, you kind of need to have a little bit of sweep below it. So we were allowing that 1.5 feet more or less, and that's why the screen is proposed at 8 feet to allow that bend of that fiber cable on the bottom there. But I don't know if lowering everything, keeping basically the same height of the screen would work here on the front side, but it will not work on the back side because the back side there is a 3-foot wall, parapet wall, where the existing structure is set back from that wall. So that
Let's try to pull up the.
So you're talking about the back of that element that's been elevated, the screen?
Mhm.
There's a back wall of it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there is a.
Yeah, right
if you
here.
look at the sheet,
This is the back of the building, this is the front.
Oh, they're putting one back
And they're
here too.
putting one there too.
yeah.
Oh,
So we have two sets of antennas that are kind of facing towards the
So
beach
they've got
area.
antennas kind of going this way,
So,
that way.
so if you look at A6,
Two computers going at once.
and I can show you. This is basically the back of the building there, where we're planning to wrap around put the antennas and wrap around the screen. So you have this wall here.
this
That we
parapet?
need, that we need to overcome on that. Right now, the wall that we're proposing is just right above that, parapet.
So you say overcome, does that mean it has to elevate above this or out beyond
because-
it?
No. It basically the screen comes around this portion of the building,
I see.
and there's this separation. But the antennas themselves, if you lower it down, then you're actually shooting into metal, into the structure. That creates a interference issue, and that's why the back side would have to maintain that the height that we're proposing, whereas the front portion of it, we may have some flexibility in terms of bringing those down, so that way we can integrate that piece. a
Are
little
you
better in the
talking
front.
about this here?
Yeah,
Is
that's
there any way you can just extend it out to here?
That's what he's proposing, except with their fiberglass reinforced panels.
Okay, and
Yeah.
can you maintain the height of this? The existing,
Well,
Architectural element?
That's the question. I
right,
think.
right. So right now, the difference is that you have a parapet wall that is the back parapet wall is 3 feet in height. And so by lowering the height in the back, you're lowering the antenna, which then, if you lower it by, let's say, 2 feet or 3 feet, then you're shooting into that parapet wall.
Yeah, so they're putting the antennas on that elevated
Yeah.
roof area.
can you remove this parapet and just put RF material in there instead?
Um,
I mean, then you don't have to deal with that issue.
there could
Between,
be,
yeah,
but
from
you-
one bay to the next.
Yeah, it
And then you
probably
can put
is
an
that one
antenna
bay.
there, you know? It's not blocking anything then.
right. So the way the antenna, they're not just shooting straight. They have a
Yeah.
sort of a fan. So you almost have to replace a good amount of area in front of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe-
I'm thinking you could replace the stretch to mimic what you have in the front.
But the front's 8 feet higher than
I mean,
No,
the-
so what I'm
that
saying is-
upper roof.
So what I'm understanding is that this parapet right here, the height of that is obstructing the RF, right?
it-
So
it
if you
would be,
remove that and you build up to match to this, it would be a replication of what you have in the front.
yeah, we could
I
actually.
don't know how cleanly you could do that because you've got the flashing on the back side of the parapet.
I'm of the
Yeah.
opinion that the front of that
Yeah.
building is not the place to put these things. After what we went through with Ralph's, keeping it in the architectural overlay zone and doing character, we're just making an ugly building uglier. And-
Or we could look at it as an opportunity.
And
Okay.
I'm thinking, you've got a huge area of roof there. And from the street looking up, you don't even see the mechanical equipment.
You don't.
And if they were built in the middle of the roof, away from the perimeter of it, I think that's better than even messing with.
So then you're saying no screen at all?
They'd have to have the typical mechanical screen, which is fiberglass screen reinforced panel. You know, and it wouldn't even have to go to the ground. It could be 3 feet up and up, but you can see that nobody'd see them. We're not changing the building and making it uglier. And the owner of this building is making money off this because they're going to lease the space.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I would
So-
love to see them forced to get a master sign program.
Oh, there's several things I could say right now. I wish I could do. Like this building element that the project would add to. If
Change the
in
whole
the
thing.
absence of that, the building would look better.
It would. That's why I say
Even just that.
I
Just
don't
taking
want
the-
to lock that in by making it go 8 feet higher.
Yeah.
Get this stuff off into the middle of, if you go to the roof plan, there's tons of room or even off to either end. If you saw a little bit of the screen, I wouldn't mind it so much.
We can open it.
Here's the roof plan and, you know, if
So
they,
you're saying put a screened area right here?
well,
Something
no, I'm thinking they could put it here.
Yeah, right in the
Or
middle.
here, or here, or here, you know, because these are facing these ways, so, you know, it gets that. These are facing kind of that way. So behind this, all they'd have to do is put their stuff there and
Which sheet?
put
do you
one
wanna
more
look at?
screen on the back. Leave this thing alone and just, it may be a little more wiring for them and all, but that's not our responsibility to try to make it cost effective.
Okay, so you're saying just leave that
Leave it alone,
piece.
yeah.
But I have a feeling Chris was thinking about something more, right? Like take that thing down? Is that what
Oh,
you're suggesting?
No, well, ideally they wouldn't. They would, like, if someone were to
Can't make
remodel
them do
the
that.
building, I'd say take that thing off. But you know that I think that's not a nexus to the project. So
Yeah, that's expensive.
ideally we minimize doing things to the building that make it look worse. That's kind of where
Like
staff
Bart's
is.
idea. I think that would.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's
I'm
a good
just
idea.
thinking,
So what?
you know,
Can you
just
help
what do
me
you think
just
of
one of
understand?
those, you know, they could be out here in the middle
Ah, got it. Okay.
Yeah, in the middle of the roof.
and
Yeah.
then they don't have to shoot through any of this roof because this one would be going that way, this one would be going that way. And these two, this is residential here, and
Why can't you put all of them on those sides?
we probably could,
areas?
we probably could.
So how would that work? Would you build up the roof there?
No, you just put a screen. I don't know if you
Like
need
a standard
housekeeping pad or
parapet
something like that,
That's what I
Like
think.
almost like an AC
Well, there should be attic
unit.
space in
Yeah,
there.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has to get his sweep down, but as long as the antennas are
Yeah, if you
above
set them
that
back,
3-foot parapet,
yeah, if you set them back, you won't really see them far.
it should work. And right now, when we look at the front elevation, the street scene that Chris showed us, looking up here, you don't even really see even this.
Okay.
There's I think, a Google Earth picture.
Yeah, he
This
had it.
is
Chris had it up
30
before.
30 feet,
It's
4 inches.
2'8", I think, is
So-
above the.
Let me just,
See.
while we're talking here, let me.
You wouldn't even see it on that.
I have the Google Earth right here. If you want to look.
Oh, there you go. I mean, you wouldn't see them because you don't even see the middle of the high roof.
Well, if he
Going
extends,
back.
if he goes up 6 feet,
Oh, you might see a little
You might
bump,
see 'em,
a
but
little
it's-
bump.
yeah, but all it is it reads as a parapet, so I don't have a problem with it. Does that work for you?
Well, if I may provide you some little bit of an insight there, the same reason why we are elevating the back portion for the antennas to avoid this parapet in the back. This unit in the middle of the roof would have to be substantially taller to be able to then get over that other.
So you're trying to get
To get over this parapet?
Below.
Right. I mean, unless we actually go all the way to the edges of the building.
So that's why you're putting it way out front there.
Right.
And what-
Because what happens is that the whole coverage objective obviously is to shoot down El Camino in the freeway on both sides. And so by putting it in the front, there is no obstacles for the propagation of the antenna. By putting it more towards the middle, and I agree that would be more screen, but then now you have to increase that screen much taller than what we're proposing.
What other sites in our ordinance, and I think even the federal government says, they have to tell us all the other places that they looked at
Cell
But-
tower,
to
yeah.
put cell towers.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we find this is inappropriate then. And there might be a better site. It's up to them to say, no, there isn't, and prove it.
And then we have to come up with.
And, that isn't in our packet, but that is a reality, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, we can ask them to demonstrate that this site is of need to provide
yeah.
coverage. Yeah,
So
we can do that.
you think, because, well, let me just rephrase this. You think if it was integrated into that sort of canopy element, whatever that thing is, in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say that we increase the height of that, but not as much as he's showing. Let's say if it was the same as the facade,
I think
At the roof
you're
line.
also saying you're gonna close that atrium, or whatever we're gonna call the space, off, down at the first column?
well, that's what he's suggesting, but I'm saying,
On the bottom?
what if we ran that from front to back?
So the height
You know,
limit is
we're
33
exceeding
feet.
the height limit.
Oh, we are.
So the height limit is 33 feet. Right now they're at 30 feet 4 inches. With the
Correct.
with the changes up to here. So they have room to do the things that we're discussing here.
Can I
we've-
just get clarity on Bart's idea? So
Yeah.
Bart, your idea is to put these antennas like in the middle of the roof,
Mm-hmm.
not the L. And you're saying, what's your response to that?
Yeah, so very similar to the obstacle in the back parapet. The RF, I mean, because the antennas shoot out and then also fan up and down and also to the sides, right? We're putting it in the middle, we would be having the same
It's the
challenges.
shooting down part, that's a problem.
Both, now we have a much greater area of.
I'm just
of metal.
wondering,
We didn't
since,
have that problem in that hotel we looked at down
yeah,
in
how
South
high
Bend.
could you
No,
go
I
and not
remember that.
before you see it? I don't
Well,
know.
it's only a
Yeah.
2.5-foot parapet.
See, I keep
Oh.
going back to
Okay.
I've seen wireless facilities where they don't have the parapet in, they waterproof it in a way and they put the RF material in there and they put the antennas behind it and it looks like the building. It doesn't even look like a big structure. Even if you were to put antennas all along here, and you can't tell that they're there, that's better than
Yeah,
building up the
you're
roof.
saying remove the parapet
Yeah.
and then have RF friendly material replace it.
You
Yeah.
have a joint there, where the roof hits the
Yeah.
parapet wall.
It's still, in my perspective, that would still look better than,
Yeah, I agree.
what's proposed. Like
Yeah.
this to me this is not a good thing for this building. So I prefer this idea of putting it here, like in the equipment screens. But if that's a problem,
And these
then remove the parapet or put the antennas in the parapet and
are only going out the
make
end.
it go away. And even better yet, take
There's
off the
nothing
whole,
actually going
take off
out.
that whole ugly building
Oh.
thing if you can.
These are aimed that direction. That
Yeah.
direction, correct?
Yeah, they're kind of aimed towards the freeway.
Yeah.
So
change the
if you're
I'm just
if you're over
being
here,
a little
That's if I was an
utopian.
architect,
Being a little
I would
utopian.
outsource it.
Just being a little utopian.
So here's just
You're allowed to do that, you're a
a
planner.
better view of the direction of the antennas. And these right here. So they are on the sides, but
To me, that element
more
is kind of
focused
flimsy looking.
away from the building.
It does.
Because it's so high,
Yeah,
and it's got those thin, sort of spindly columns,
yeah.
that if it was beefed up,
Oh, we
As
made
a-
them
as a
redo the columns
complete-
too?
yeah, as a complete element,
That would certainly help.
then I think you could make that
That's
height
why
work.
the mass of that that roof on top of those,
Yeah, it's heavy.
what are they,
Columns.
18-inch?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Make the columns thicker.
Yeah, make the whole thing proportional.
Maybe put
Yeah.
some stone on it or something.
I don't know about that, but you could plaster, you could fur those out.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
look at the
I don't know.
details and all,
And-
this is right across from Ralph's, which was
Yeah.
a major project in the city and
Yeah.
went through design review, I don't know how many times. I hate to make the thing right across the street and allow them to go uglier.
I mean, it does seem taller.
This thing-
it does seem taller than it has to be personally. Like,
What if you were to make it an
This thing is
architectural?
very flumsy looking.
Is there a way to
This
make?
is not a terrible building if you just look at the
Idea.
slight overhang here because it's vertical.
Yeah.
And then you have the nice shadow line. It's clean at least. The signage is a problem on this building. Is there anything we do about that?
No, not right now. No.
Steve,
But
is
this
there,
thing looks very flimsy. So
is there a
what
way
I'm
to put an architectural feature there, like a tower or something that would actually give it?
Well, that's sort of what I'm suggesting, but more proportional.
Yeah.
So the columns, like even these, see how these ones are thicker and they're not spanning as much. Well, maybe they're the same. But so proportionally, if these were bigger and the whole thing was properly proportioned, I think they could raise that in the front and it would still look good. Because to me, this
Yeah,
is too
it's-
flimsy right here.
I
should
think
be at least
Chris's
this-
idea
This thickness.
would look better without it.
But I also don't like, I think it should be integrated like that. Here, it looks like a curtain wall or a
It
screen
does.
wall.
It does.
I think it needs to come up at the corners, so the whole element is better proportioned. It's gonna be, more expensive to do that, but then I think you're improving the look of the building. So you're using it as
We
an
could get-
opportunity.
Here's
Get
a
some
side
ad-
view.
I would recommend that the building owner get a designer to do that rather than the.
See it?
Oh,
like
yeah,
it
utility.
extends out. See how it
Utility guys.
extends out though? So
Yeah, but
it's
what
gotta
I'm thinking
be-
is
it's
they
gotta be
lower
all-
that,
it's
so
gotta
you
be-
don't have that breezeway underneath it.
It's got to be all. You're saying to get rid of this?
No, leave the whole thing, but this is all useless up here. So
Greenhouse-
engage,
greenhouse
however
effect.
much you're raising this, maybe engage it in the back. I don't know. I mean, I would have to sketch
Yeah,
something
fill.
up, which
Like
I'm not getting
fill.
paid to do that.
So what I'm hearing is fill in the separation between the lower side of this and the top of the parapet and run it all along around and then beef up the columns.
That kind of element is typically on a new car showroom.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
that's what it looks like.
It does look like that, yeah.
I think that's,
Or you can remove it and you can put the parapet, do the parapet RF.
So
Is that, am I misreading? Like
Well-
the idea, like what,
I think that's
like
a good idea.
to give a couple different, I'm just thinking to give a couple different options, it's
If
the
that
applicant
element
to
you
think
want
about.
it, whatever.
So
Yeah,
like,
but you'd have to cut, let's say from here to here, one full bay. You'd have to cut this down to the roof line, still leave enough room for the flashing, and replace that with RF material.
Mhm.
So what you could do is you could cut that, and I'm just talking, thinking out loud here. You could cut that, and then have that RF material extend back, so it becomes an element, an architectural element. You follow me?
how far back would they go?
Not far enough, so it looks like it's a part of the architecture.
Substantial.
Probably
Yeah, you'd
10,
make
10,
it,
12 feet.
you would make it,
12 feet.
okay, yeah.
That way, because otherwise you're gonna have a cut line there where you change out that material, which is gonna look out of place. I mean, maybe we're being
Oh,
nitpicky here, but
Oh, so you're saying you wouldn't maintain the height of the parapet? You would raise the RF screening and push it back?
yeah, well, he's gonna need to, because he's, otherwise, well, you know, I don't know how precise you are with the shooting of the angles, but that way it gives you a sort of an intermediate feature and do it the same on both sides,
Now,
since it's a symmetrical building.
So we would need to kind of pop that portion out. I think.
we don't have the picture of the two ends, do we?
Yeah,
The
The
whole,
ones he's putting up,
can we make it,
Okay,
instead of
that-
a box, can you just make it more of a feature?
the
door
ones
or
he's
something?
putting up here, to raise that 8 feet,
Because it's like an international
Put it
style,
on the
right?
end,
That kind
no.
of stuff's not.
right up against that
That would
parapet.
make it really weird.
And
Okay.
if there were something at the end of it, because that's the way those antennas are facing, keep it, he wouldn't show anything along the front of the building at all.
You're back to this idea,
Getting
Brian.
them right here,
Oh, do it on the side.
We would probably come up here
right here and here.
and take this piece here and then expand it out, I guess.
Why would you have to?
No, you don't do
No,
that.
I'm saying
No,
put it on the
extend.
roof
Yeah,
Okay, so then this will have to go.
A little bit.
Up out.
because if you take off this parapet, you have no more parapet to worry about,
Right.
and then do an element that goes up and back a little way.
yes. Yeah, that would work. So it's just on the sides.
Yeah, just on the ends.
Yeah, that's fine. That'll work
Then we
as long as we
Don't
have.
even mess with
then
that.
you don't have to go 8 feet high.
Are you talking
You
having
don't
it
have
back
to go
here,
8
Bart,
feet
on
if you
top
don't have
and
the
back?
parapet there.
We have
On the
still
side.
All the way over on the side of the
Well,
building.
from the
Way over
roof
here.
line?
From the roof, you don't have to
Because-
go.
Okay.
You don't have to go the
Look at the
parapet,
direction those
and
antennas
Well,
face.
you don't have to
Yeah,
go as
shooting
high
that way and
because
that
now
way,
you're
that
taking
way
out
and
the
that way.
parapets. Now you have
What I
3.5
don't get-
feet less.
You have the same
Well, that's
concern that
for
there's a
that.
building
Yeah.
over here.
Right,
or
right.
a building
Yeah,
over
and I
here.
agree with you. I mean,
So
nowadays
it's
with
not a line of sight.
fiber being
Yeah.
in place,
Yeah, so you're
we don't have to
saying
worry about
this
distance
somehow,
anymore.
this engages
And
and then it goes back.
This-
Some,
I'd say-
yeah, just something like
the
that.
possibility of doing that is because both sides have the same thing.
Yeah, and it would be better to make that.
Some kind
You
of-
want to make it wide enough where it doesn't look like it's an afterthought. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
so
you,
let's say
you
it's a
know,
full
full
bay.
antenna.
yeah,
Whatever that
Yeah,
width
yeah.
of the bay is, which could be 20 feet or something. Make it
yeah, exactly. Like one of the span of this from here to here.
Yeah, from one bay to the
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Does that make-
little wiring for
did
you
you
and all to
see
get
that?
to those, but I think
So
it's.
see the width of one of these bays
Mhm.
to make the detail about that wide, so it looks like it belongs there.
Let's see if I can get it to work.
On
You
the
know what I'm
side.
saying? On the side. You know what I'm saying?
But okay, so then
So if you make it too narrow,
it's
it's gonna look like an antenna, right? You wanna make it wide enough where it looks like it's meant to be in the building,
right. Yeah.
right?
Would you recommend then having it on the corner of the building?
No, like, I
No,
think
no,
the
in the-
idea is in the
I'd
middle of
say
the
in the
building,
middle.
it's symmetrical then. The whole building is symmetrical.
So right here, then we can go up.
This
Yeah.
is probably
You know what,
the
I'm
sides.
gonna-
The sides are probably 3 bays,
I have Google.
so it would go maybe from here to here, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
What was your
Okay,
name,
I'm
sir?
gonna go over here.
Franklin.
Frank.
Yes.
Franklin?
Yes, Franklin.
Franklin.
Okay, see right here?
So if this is 3 bays,
Here's a little better picture of you.
There you go, there's the side of the building.
it's got glass up there. So
Should
you-
do right here.
Yeah, so you could, let's say, go back to,
Yeah, that's,
See
it's got the
these,
same picture I
see
did.
these divisions
Yeah.
right here? Maybe go to there.
Yeah, or the width of
No,
the,
right there.
well, I'm thinking even go to the first mullion. The first vertical
here?
mullion. No.
Oh,
First-
the mullion.
yeah, it could be, yeah,
So just go,
so it'd be about a third of the roof,
yeah, right here.
Okay,
Where the tree is.
something.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that being an issue. We'll need to see the, it'll be, I would say that probably the first foot above the roof would have to be maintained because,
Yeah, because
all
of the
that.
flashing.
And,
Yeah, you got some,
yeah,
waterproofing to do.
Would that idea work if you just did it on this, in the middle, back here? And then just do the flashing, do the replacement here, then it wouldn't
It looks
matter
like
if the
it's
seam
the,
looks. If there's a seam, you're not gonna see it.
That's the other.
Yeah, we're trying, we're trying
Yeah.
to provide coverage to the freeway and,
Well, I would,
You know.
yeah, but I'm just asking if you wouldn't see it. if
agree
it's
to that. We'll
back.
assist it.
Yeah, okay.
it'll be a little bit, challenging because.
So, for the
Okay.
purposes of the minutes, to keep it simple, what I'm hearing is to focus on this idea over here.
Look at other options. And then-
We'll lay out a couple of the options, like the one on the front and I'll put both of those in there.
And you understand what we're looking for, so you can probably go to ZA.
Okay.
I mean, it's up to you. You could.
I think that's a
Email.
lot more architecturally integrated than making this look worse.
Yeah.
Like this has always been one of these design features I've driven by since I started working here. So, well, why is that still there?
It's, and I mean, just getting better awnings and a decent sign program.
Put a Tesla showroom in
That whole
there,
site
somebody
up
will
so
knock it
much.
down. That's a joke.
Well, it's
Just,
very-
just as a, I guess, to give you feedback on that centerpiece there, rather than having, obviously we're trying to wrap around and make it one single unit. If we leave the front as is,
Mhm.
and we just basically cover the sides, bring it down to where it matches the line of the I guess, the windows or the awnings.
Interesting.
And that way you have covers on the side that kind of bring, so in other words,
That's what I'm saying.
let's see if I can bring this down to. So rather than having this full area here, we leave the front that is, because we're not using the front and we're having to move cameras anyways. So we would just bring this line across this entire area and go back a certain direction.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I suggested earlier anyway, and sort of.
But then it was widen the columns also, if you do that.
We can definitely come
It's
back.
still
and
gonna be
maybe
tall.
widen the column in the
It's gonna be
back.
taller, so then
That's not
you're.
that different from what he's suggesting on this.
Well, what I was hearing earlier is if they add mass to this, they should make the columns more supportive looking.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're too spindly as it is, so.
So
That-
if you want to thicken this to extend the parapet line out,
So he's looking
you
at
should make the columns look like it can
Making that
support that
column.
additional
Right.
weight.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
that's
saying
just
then
a
you gotta-
facade, that's just,
Yeah.
not
You gotta
structural.
increase these big.
Yeah.
I agree.
And we could do that, and then that
I'd
way.
say at least make them this wide. See how this like almost looks like a column right here?
Yeah.
At least wider to,
Well, it's,
And we got the
Yeah,
ones
proportional.
between
So you-
each store also.
so you got the,
yeah.
so those are a couple options.
Okay.
so
Any
that's-
other options you want to go over?
No, sir.
All right.
We gave you a couple. You came up with it
I
yourself.
have had a project before where it was a new cell facility, and my perspective was just make it look like an antenna. At some point, everybody knows it's an antenna. You know, you're trying so hard to
Well, it's
make
like
it high.
some
and
of
then-
those trees.
Yes.
I mean, they're so.
When I drive to work, I'm like, there's cell antenna, cell antenna. That drives my wife
There's a
crazy when I
Cell
say
antenna that wants to be a tree.
The church steeples
This
are
is
the
what I
best.
like to.
Yeah.
We got a number of them in
propose
church
is that-
steeples
Yeah.
around here.
What's that?
I created this two-dimensional piece for the project.
Yeah.
So what I can do is maybe come up with alternatives here, because I have the whole building 3D model.
Oh, okay.
To provide you with the alternative of increasing the width of the columns and the sides, leaving the front as is. That's one alternative. And then the other alternative is to do the antennas on the sides.
Take a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Does it
what-
have to be
this is
this
what's across the
tall?
street.
Can it match
You know, so if he
Can
does
it
pop
run
up
the
and make
same
it,
height as?
Yeah, so it's sort of,
it's going to be about that much higher.
I don't
No,
know.
we
Just don't put that
no,
big old
we can
tortoise
lower
on
that.
there.
I think we
Yeah,
can lower
okay.
that
They're not
because
going to put
again,
that on, but
Yeah, so you're filling
yeah,
in
so I think that
your,
would be a good solution.
and
Or
then-
the one-
okay.
yeah.
yeah, if you could come up with
And
some
it would actually
options,
improve
and then we'll
that
tell
raised
you,
Canopy.
when you give us the options, staff will look at it and tell you if we think you've got to a point where it's stealth or not.
Okay.
And can go to the zoning administrator.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
good. Yeah, I
All right.
appreciate your help.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Franklin.
Thank you.
Well,
and Chris,
Yeah, Chris, of course.
I just want to
oh,
show
thank you.
This is what's across the street. Okay,
Yeah.
there's our mill, and just something, you know, proportion-wise,
Mm-hmm.
popping up on the end. I don't think will be that big a distraction.
I agree. I think my preference is to do the sides of the building and leave the front alone personally.
I concur.
Because I think that if you really wanted to make the front of the building, it's gonna take a lot more engineering
Well, it does look like a car dealership. Now I'm going to have to get that out of my head.
Yeah, it's kind of unique because we actually looked at several different properties, including the one across the street from this building, and we haven't
Across
really-
El Camino or across?
Well, yeah, we looked at Ralph was one of the alternatives. There was no agreement with the owners there. The one that is to the south is another one that I looked at, and they were not interested at all. Most of the other buildings in this area are all pretty much single story until you get further up north along the El Camino. But yeah, we looked at several other locations.
Did you look at the mortuary?
The what? I'm sorry.
The mortuary, because they have like kind of a tower. It's over here.
Oh, yeah, what's that name?
Oh man, there it is. They kind of have this tower there.
Yeah, that's a funky building too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But-
it's
but
actually
that's the-
similar style as the one that we're looking
And
at.
clients wouldn't complain.
I don't know. Kind of looks. It looks a little colonial. It's a little. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't,
we gave my
I
dad.
don't recall.
It's a little
style.
colonial, but you
Yeah.
could tell there's a tower there. So if you made it like thicker, no one would. Yeah.
Okay, I think we should quit while we're
Okay.
ahead here.
Well, we'll come back and like I said, I'll put together a couple of alternatives before we actually do a whole redesign of
Okay.
and getting into the drawing so that you can see. And I'll
Sounds good.
provide you a couple of side views and so you can see what the end result would be.
Okay. That sounds good.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your time.
Okay. I think that's all we had for today, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking at that thing altogether.
Good meeting
Be
you.
two buildings.
Here's my card. With David out, you can reach me.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank
All
you.
right. Huh? He should be back next week.
Okay. Is he off on vacation or feeling sick?
He's just on leave. He's okay.
This thing's going around. That's why.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
All right.
All right, take
Thanks
care.
again. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, new business, we have none. Old business, we have none. Any oral and written communication? I don't think so. So, does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure, I'll move adjournment to the next regular meeting of the Design Review Subcommittee, Wednesday, March 26th. No?
No, the next meeting looking at the future
Calendar.
items would be April 7th.
To April 7th, 2025, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
in the community room.
Second.